Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is apologizing to Indigenous Canadians after the remains of more than 200 Indigenous children were found last week.
This news reporter inspired us to research the story of our very own foreign mission school here in Cornwall.
There was a time here in Cornwall, Connecticut, where people came from different parts of the world who couldn't speak English, who came here because there used to be a foreign mission school, which was an educational institution that was founded in 1817 and ran until 1826.
The Foreign Mission School's main focus was to take people from non-Christian cultures and turn them into Christians. With this information, we were left with three big questions. Who attended this school, what did they achieve, and how should it be remembered today?
The central character in the story is Henry Obakaya. Born in 1792, Henry was one of the first native Hawaiians to become Christian, inspiring American Protestant missionaries to become the islands during the 19th century.
Opakahia was born to the class that would eventually become the priests, the kahunas. And he had a very rough childhood. Mother died, father died. My understanding is that his brother died as he was carrying him. This was in some of the wars during trying to unify the islands and things like this. He eventually made his way onto a boat and that was leaving Hawaii, and he ended up arriving in New England. And he eventually, through just, a series of fate, if you want to call it, or a series of movements by God, if you want to call it that way too, ended up becoming part of the household of the man who was the president of Yale, which of course was a Protestant university at the time, and becoming just kind of parts of the circles where people were involved in the Second Great Awakening, revitalization of the Protestant belief system in Christianity.
To find out more about Henry Obakaya, we interviewed author Christopher Cook.
When Obakaya left Hawaii, he was about 20 and Hopu was 13. Obakaya and Hopu met aboard the ship Triumph from New Haven, Connecticut, in Kealakekua Bay in Hawaii Island in the first months of 1808. Obakaya was tall and strong from swimming, canoe paddling, and surfing. I believe he was a surfer too. He had been training to be a Hawaiian priest for 10 years and was 20 years old. Hopu was only 13 and of middle height. He lived in if he lived in Cornwall, he might be your classmate. It was, based on, daily life was based on, the Bible and Protestant religion in those days. And today, most families are definitely not.
My understanding is he was very gifted with languages. He began the process of trying to write down Hawaiian. Olelo Hawaii, which is the Hawaiian language, was predominantly an oral language at the time. And in order to take anything from an oral language to a written language, you have to figure out what you're going to write. And so he had begun a system of trying to do that. He was working on trying to himself translate parts of the Bible into Hawaiian. And when he was at the Foreign Mission School, began writing his memoirs, his own biography, and also befriended some of the teachers and people at the Foreign Mission School.
We had already learned the basics about the purpose of the Foreign Mission School, but wanted to get a more in-depth understanding.
My understanding is that the purpose of the Foreign Mission School was to train people who came from what were then considered foreign areas to be able to become missionaries and return back to their native lands to spread Christianity. That's my understanding of the point of the Foreign Mission School. So, for example, there were 3 Hawaiian men who were returning back to Hawaii. They had, through the course of their lives, made their way from Hawaii to New England. They had converted to Christianity, and then they went to the Foreign Mission School to learn how to be missionaries themselves and to deepen their understanding of the religion and things like that.
Daily life was based on, the Bible and Protestant religion in those days. And today, most families are definitely not. So they had a whole different worldview, right, going out. And so the role they played in that world, it changed the world. Obakaya changed Hawaii, and then the foreign mission movement, which the Foreign Mission School was sort of, the highlight of it. It was part of the global world of missions. So if you look at it from that perspective, their lives, were the beginning of big things, and that's why it's important.
After we found out the good and the bad of the Foreign Mission School, we wanted to know how it should be remembered today.
I see the Foreign Mission School as an invitation to explore history and find out what it might mean for us today. Was this school established, to send people out to completely dominate and erase other cultures? That seems like a pretty black and white statement, and that statement, and anything that's totally black and white, I always kind of, question that way. On the flip side, was this a school established only to do entirely good, and did it only ever do entirely good? And so we talk about history just being interwoven in so many ways and multi-layered. So the whole idea of how is it viewed or how should it be viewed can be really hard.